Welcome to our review to our Understanding the Self, Chapter 1, entitled The Self, Its Nature and Significance. I will be presenting to you the check, C, the concepts in red color, H for our hints in white, and E for our examples in green color. And here is our outline. We're gonna talk on the self, concepts associated with the self, process of understanding the self or identity, quadrant in the Johari window, and as an additional information, it pays to read. And now, let's talk on the self. When we talk on the self, we're pertaining to the distinct identity. When you say distinct, you are quite different with other persons. It is also being you. It is the summation of our experiences. What you had experienced, what you are experiencing, and what you will experience, and its relationship with one another will make up the self, will make up you. And this summation of experiences, which is the self, can be associated in psychology, particularly the school of thoughts. When you say school, it is a group. When you say thought, this pertains to ideas. When a particular psychologist believes in a certain idea and other psychologists also believe and support that particular idea, therefore it becomes a group. It becomes a school. A school of ideas or a school of thoughts. And one of those is the Gestalt psychology, which pertains to whole. And we have structuralism, which pertains to elements and its relationship. In this instance, we can say that structuralism pertains to experiences. When you put that together, when you sum it together, it becomes yourself. It becomes the whole you. It becomes the Gestalt. Let's try these examples. I have here the statements, and all you have to do is to identify and tell me if it's true or false. The self is our soul and inner being that pertains more on what's behind our physical characteristics. Is it true or false? Your answer. The answer is yes, it's true. How about the next statement? Deep understanding of ourselves brings us the achievement of self-determination. Your answer? The answer is, again, true. How about the other statement? Our self or identity is static and permanent. Your answer? It's false. Now it's all on the self. And let's have another information about this self. How about what is our essence of being human and what is the meaning of our existence? And therefore, what is the essence and meaning of the self? The answer is to have appreciation of who we are as a person. We have to appreciate who we are as the member of the community and who we are as the member of a larger institution of people. These are our concepts in red. And let's take a look with our hints. When you say person, it pertains to you, the self. Member of the community, yourself plus your own culture. Own culture, it must be your friends, it must be the circle of your group mates, and of course, it might be your family. And when you say member of a larger institution of people, our hint would be the self plus the other culture. Let's try an example. I will be giving you a statement, and this time you have to say me if it's under person. Just say A. And member of the community, you have to answer it with B. and a member of a larger institution of people, just tell me if it's C. Ready? It's I make myself busy doing productive things that it may be of help to others even I don't know them personally. Is it A, person, B, member of the community, or C, member of a larger institution of people? In 3, 2, 1. The answer is yes, it's letter C. Why? Because you, the self, you are making yourself busy and you are helping others even you don't know them personally. It's other culture. It's C. You are appreciating who you are as a member of a larger institution of people. Let's take another example. When it comes to simplicity, I stick to my needs over wants. Is it A, B, or C? The answer is yes, it's A. How about the other example? I help my group mates on their presentations that I give suggestions and constructive criticisms. The answer is yes, it's letter B. We're done with the self. Moving on to the concepts associated with the self. The concepts on self. It is SESI as our technique. S-E-S-I. S stands for self-awareness. E for ego. Another S for self-concept. And I for identity. Under self-concept, we have the C's. S for self-image. I for ideal self. And another S for self-esteem. Now I have here some descriptions and attributes, and you have to tell me what particular concept this refers to. Example, how you think about or perceive yourself. Is it self-awareness, ego, self-concept, or identity? Your answer? Correct. It is actually a general description on self-concept. Now this time, the next examples would be pertaining to the self-image, ideal self, and self-esteem under self-concept. So how you view yourself? Is it self-image, ideal self, or self-esteem? How you view yourself? Your answer? Correct. It's self-image. If I'm asking you for a specific answer, your answer would be self-image. But if I'm asking you for a complete answer, your answer must be self-concept, self-image. How about the other example? How worth or value you give for yourself. Is it self-image, ideal self, or self-esteem? The answer is self-esteem. Again, the complete answer would be self-concept, self-esteem. Next, what you wish or desire for yourself. Correct answer is self-concept, ideal self. The next description would be being conscious and rational. Is it self-awareness, ego, self-concept, or identity? The answer is self-awareness. Being distinct to everyone. The answer is yes, identity. Now, fill in the blank. Id is to instinct, blank is to reality, and superego is to morality. The answer is ego pertains to yourself. It could be related to psychology, particularly to Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis. We have id, ego, and superego. When you say id, it has something to do with our instinct. Superego, it is actually your conscience of doing what is right and wrong. And then your ego will be the moderator wherein you will decide with what particular action will you going to act. Example, id, we have the instinct. It is actually one of our instincts. It's actually eating. When we are hungry, we want to eat. It's actually our instinct. Now, it's your id. Your instinct is to eat because you're hungry. Now, your superego tells you to, like for example, get something which is not yours just to eat because you're hungry. On the other hand, you want to buy things, but of course your money is not enough. Now this time, we have the morality issue. We have the moral issue. Now this time, your ego, which is your moderator, will tell you we're gonna be deciding if, for instance, you're gonna get something to eat, which is not yours, or you're gonna, not eat because your money is not enough, and that is reality. It's ego. It's you. And now we have the concepts on the self. We have the sesi. We're done with the concepts associated with the self. Let's talk on process of understanding the self or identity. In tackling so, we have to deal with our technique LRU. L means learning, R for relearning, and U for unlearning. This learning, relearning, and unlearning made up our process of understanding our own self. And mind you, do you still remember that when you say learning, relearning, and unlearning, these are our experiences that when you sum it up, it becomes the self. In tackling so, learning, relearning, and unlearning, we have two vital concepts. We have the first would be assimilation and the second is accommodation. Mind you, these two concepts are very significant because these are included in the licensure examination for teachers. Now, what comes first? Is it accommodation or assimilation? As you can see, we have assimilation that comes first. So what would be our technique? It's asim ako. Yes, maasim ka. Assimilation first before we have this accommodation. And this assimilation pertains to learning. And when you say accommodation, it pertains to relearning and unlearning. Mind you, you cannot be able to say that you relearn what you did not know. You cannot be able to say that you unlearn things that you didn't know. So moving on, we have learning as assimilation. You are learning another different knowledge. Meaning to say, you learn a particular thing which is not known by you before. This must be different to make it assimilation or to make it learning. Okay? It's assimilation. So moving on to the accommodation, this pertains to molding already what you have learned or what you have learned. You cannot be able to say that you relearn different knowledge because you have to have knowledge first before you relearn and before you unlearn. Okay, so we have relearning, learned plus additional. You already know a particular concept or a particular matter or a particular idea. Now, through research or because of some of your classmates or even friends, okay, that might give you additional information on that, it makes you relearn. Okay, on the other hand, on unlearning, we have learned. It's actually assimilation plus override or changed. Now, it becomes override because you found it very not useful, okay, to use. So therefore, you change your decision. You change of not using it. For example, in learning, relearning, and unlearning, okay, you don't know how to cook. For instance, adobo. And then your friend, even your mom, okay, taught you on how to cook adobo. So we need to say it's assimilation. It's a new learning. It's quite different from the knowledge that you have learned before. So if it's different from what you have learned before, it's assimilation. It's learning. Now, in relearning and unlearning, you have to have that knowledge of cooking adobo before you can say that you have relearned and you have this unlearning. Okay? Now, in learning or assimilation, now you already learned how to cook adobo because of your mom. In relearning, some of your classmates or even some of your friends told you that they are using particular recipes under adobo, and then therefore they added the information of you cooking adobo. It's relearning. You know how to cook adobo and some information being added up. It's relearning. And when you say unlearning, maybe some of your classmates or friends told you, just use this recipe. And then when you tried that recipe, it ruined the taste of your adobo. Therefore, you're not going to use that recipe anymore. It's unlearning. It's additional information, but you found it not useful, then therefore there is more likely that you must forget it. Okay, and then you change your decision of not using it. Okay, so it's learning, relearning, and unlearning. Again, learning is different from what you have known. Relearning and unlearning, these are actually come from assimilation or known by you before. When someone added information or when you added information on it because you do research, it's relearning. But if you found it not useful to use, for example, it's unlearning. Okay, let's take these examples. So just tell me if it's learning, relearning, or unlearning. Jana once said, "Ay, akala ko rati masungit ka, hindi pala." Your answer? It's unlearning. Correct. Because you know by yourself that Jana is masungit. Okay, but this time it takes time for you to be able to know the real identity or even the real personality of that person if you go along with him or her for a long period of time. So hindi pala. So you change it. What you have known had override. Diba? Na-override siya or it has to be changed because hindi pala. So it's unlearning. Next example. So we have the learners understood the differences among learning, relearning, and unlearning. So it's learning. It's an additional different knowledge. Next. Our teacher taught us one-digit number addition, this time 2 to 3 digits addition. Yes, it's relearning because you already known, okay, how to add one-digit number. This time, additional information in addition. It's relearning. Let's discuss the quadrants in the Johari window. You know what? The concept Johari window comes from its proponents. And when you say proponents, it's authors. We have Joseph Loft and we have Harrington Ingham. Joe and Harry make this Johari window. I have here a statement and please tell me if it's true or false or if your answer is yes or no. Is it the Johari window a technique that helps people understand their relationship with themselves and others through the so-called 4 quadrants? What is your answer? Yes or no? True or false? The answer? Yes, it's true. And now let's take a closer look to the quadrants of this Johari window. As you can see, I have here a technique, Bohu, B, O, H, and U. I utilized this figure, the quadrants of the Cartesian plane used in mathematics. As you can see, the first quadrant starts at the upper right and it goes counterclockwise. We have first quadrant would be the B for blind spot, O for open, H for hidden, and U for unknown. Let's take the hints. In blind spot, we have you cannot see, but they do. It is just like you're blind. You cannot be able to see, but people see you. We have the second one, the open. It is known to all. It is known by you, the things known by all or to all. Next is hidden. You see, but they don't. It is just like you're playing hide and seek. When you're hiding, you know where you're at. On the other hand, people, they don't know where you're at. And unknown, we have, it's actually the opposite of open, which is unknown to all. Let's take these examples. And please tell me if it's blind spot, open, hidden, or unknown. It is like a facade or front of a building where we cannot see the things behind that building. Your answer? It's hidden. Why? Because people, we can't see it. Okay, the things behind might be you, that building. And we have in here, there is still much that needs to be improved or discovered to an individual as suggested by others. Your answer? Yes, it's blind spot because people know because they are suggesting and it is not known by you. That's why it must be discovered by you. The next example we have, this is characterized by extrovert traits. What is your answer? Yes, it's open. Why? Because when you are extrovert, of course, you are sociable. When you are sociable, it is actually overt behavior. When you say overt, when you say overt behaviors, these are behaviors or actions that can be seen by you and other people. Next, we have the overt and covert. And we have Lina knows that she is kind, but Pedro doesn't recognize it. Your answer is correct. It's hidden. And we have Marla accepts that she is bisexual and she is not yet out for it. It's again hidden. Next, our teacher announced the top 10 performing learners in the class. Of course, it is known by all or to all. It's open. It is known to all. It is known by you. It is known to others. Diane asks all of her colleagues on what had really happened, but no one really knows about it. The answer is unknown. As an additional information, kindly read the article It Pays to Read. With that, I hope you learned a lot. If you have some queries, do not even hesitate to ask such. Thank you so much. God bless and be a blessing to everyone.